Welcome to Ethan's Revenge.
He didn't shake my hand, just slid the envelope across the table and said, "You've had a good run, but we're going in a younger direction. 17 years. Gone in one sentence. My name's Mark Tolland, 54. I was COO at Helix Dynamics, mid-size logistics tech firm based out of Denver. Not flashy, not famous, just consistent. I joined when we had 9 employees and rented space above a bakery. Helped build it into a $40 million operation. Launched our East Coast division. Designed our onboarding pipeline. Brought in 7 of our top 10 clients. No scandals. No drama. I showed up. I delivered. I kept my name clean. Until the new CEO came in. Trent Elway, 38. MBA. Tighter haircut than judgment. Smiled too much. Asked too few questions. Wore sneakers to board meetings and called everyone man. First week, he started reshuffling. Second week, he stopped looping me in. Week 3, I was transitioned. They called it a realignment. Said the company needed a younger voice. He replaced me with Jordan Kemp, 32-year-old consultant from a branding agency. Never managed a team. Never handled vendor delays. But he had 30,000 followers and said things like, "Let's rewire the client journey." So that's what they did. I didn't argue. Didn't ask for a meeting. Didn't ask for a review. I took the envelope. Walked out. Took nothing from the office. Not even the pen I signed my exit form with. That night, I opened a fresh legal pad. Wrote one word in block caps. Return. Then I called Eric Bales, old sales rep I trained back in '09. He now ran distribution for a competitor. "I'm going solo," I said. "You in?" He didn't hesitate. Named the day. Week 1. I filed an LLC. Week 2. Signed a lease. 2 blocks from Helix HQ. Week 3. Got a logo. Website. Phone system. No ads. No posts. Just a name on the door and a contact form. Week 4. One of Helix's legacy clients sent me a lunch invite. They didn't want to talk about my departure. They wanted to talk about Jordan. Apparently, he used Synergy for times in one email. By the end of lunch, they asked if I had capacity. I told them the truth. For the right client, I always do. By week 5, I had 4 clients. Not bad for a company without a receptionist. They didn't care about polish. They cared about results. And I delivered. Personally. I didn't hire reps, didn't bring in interns. I handled the logistics myself, answered the calls, fixed the back end, showed up on site when needed. One of them said, "Feels like 2010 again." When someone actually picked up the damn phone. I took that as a compliment. Meanwhile, word started traveling. Quietly. Helix was slipping. Not in revenue. Not yet. But in reputation. Vendors were complaining about slow responses. Clients said emails went unanswered. And then there was the newsletter. They started sending out a glossy corporate bulletin with phrases like customer forward vertical alignment. No one knew what that meant. I knew what it meant. Someone was trying too hard to sound smart. The kind of thing you do when you're scared to admit you're in over your head. I didn't mention any of this. I didn't post. Didn't brag. I just worked. Clean and focused. But I paid attention. And what I noticed was this. Every client I spoke to had the same tone. A pause before asking, "So, what exactly happened at Helix?" I didn't trash anyone. Didn't mention Trent. Didn't say the word age once. I said, leadership changed. So did priorities. I'm still doing the same thing I always did, just from this side of the street. That was enough. By week 7, they lost their anchor account. I heard about it from the client directly. The same one I onboarded 8 years ago. He said Jordan misread a contract clause and cost them $12 grand in overnight fees. When they confronted him, he said, "That's operations, not brand." They called me the next day. We met for coffee. No pitch, no slides. Just 2 guys in polos talking shop. At the end of it, he handed me a folder. Inside, complete handoff documents, signed. "We'd rather work with someone who doesn't talk like an app," he said. That night, I sat in my new office. 2 desks. A lamp. A coffee machine. Nothing fancy. But it was mine. I looked across the street at Helix HQ. Their parking lot looked thinner. Trent's Audi wasn't there. Probably on a podcast or panel somewhere, talking about culture. I sipped my coffee and updated my client board. 5 accounts now. All mine. All earned. All taken back without raising my voice. They thought I was finished. What they didn't know is I hadn't even started moving yet. Week 8, the invitation started. Not job offers, meetings. Coffee. Drinks. Catch-ups. From people who didn't have time for me when I was escorted out the side door. Now they had questions, curiosity, concerns. One of them was a senior account exec still at Helix. He asked to meet off the record. We met at a bar with dim lighting and cheap whiskey. I didn't say much. Just let him talk. Trent's in trouble, he said. I waited. He overpromised the board. Pushed this aggressive rebrand. Laid off support staff to cover marketing spend. I nodded. Jordan's barely managing operations. And the legacy clients? They're getting cold. Another sip. He looked around, leaned in. Between you and me, if you were to grow, some of us would follow. I didn't respond. I didn't need to, because I was already growing. That week, I hired my first full-time staffer, Amanda, ex-client liaison from a freight group I worked with in 2015. Smart, organized, no ego. She came in, learned the system in a day, and improved it by Friday. Week 9, I picked up another client. Not one of Helix's, not yet. But big. National reach. They liked that I didn't pitch vision. I pitched numbers. Schedules. Guarantees. Stuff they could measure. We signed that afternoon. At the end of the week, I passed Trent in a parking garage. Coincidence. Wrong time, same space. He recognized me. Faked a smile. Mark, he said, like we were old friends. Heard you started something on your own. Good for you, man. I just nodded. Kept walking. But he kept talking. Let me know if you ever want to collaborate. Maybe we can toss a few projects your way. Yeah. I stopped. Looked him in the eye. Trent, I said, calm. I'm not here to collaborate. He blinked. I stepped closer. I'm here to collect. Then I walked. Saturday morning, Amanda showed me a client inquiry that came in after hours. A name I recognized. Helix's second biggest customer. Asking about rates, availability, transition timelines. I didn't get excited. Didn't forward it to anyone. I just opened a new folder in our CRM. Labeled it. Reclamation. People don't leave good companies over one bad meeting. They leave when they realize the person who built the system is gone, and the one now in charge is faking it. They weren't chasing me out of loyalty. They were chasing competence. And I wasn't chasing them at all. I just left the door open. By week 10, the line was broken. The client that reached out Saturday? They weren't asking anymore. They were moving. We met in my office, not a conference room. Just a desk, 2 chairs, coffee and paper cups. I don't need slides, the rep said. We're just tired of delays, excuses, and buzzwords. I showed him the process. Clean, simple, 3-page outline. No fluff. Just deadlines, rates, points of contact. By the end of the hour, he handed me a check and said, we'll send the data by Monday. Helix didn't even know yet. They'd find out soon enough. Amanda looked at the schedule and raised an eyebrow. You realize this puts us at capacity. I nodded. So we scale. She didn't flinch. Next morning, I made 2 calls. One to an ex-logistics planner I trained 5 years ago. The other to a tech guy who once rebuilt our CRM under budget and on time. Both said yes. No interviews. No paperwork. Just trust. We weren't building a startup. We were building a return. That same week, I started getting texts from Helix employees. Quiet ones. Not desperate, strategic. How's your setup? Are you taking resumes? If I left tomorrow, could we talk? I never recruited. Never promised. Just said, if you move, move clean. And bring value. That was enough. Thursday afternoon, I got an email forwarded from a vendor who used to work with Helix. Subject line. Where'd everyone go? The message thread was between Jordan and a warehouse team in Ohio. They were behind schedule, and Jordan had tried to fix it with a Google form. The vendor wrote, we used to talk to Mark. He just handled it. I printed that and pinned it to the whiteboard. Amanda walked in, glanced at it, and smirked. Should we frame that? Not yet, I said. But keep it. Week 11, Helix dropped below retention targets. Word spread. Not viral. Just quiet. Between vendors, clients, inside the industry. Trent rolled out a video statement. Said they were pivoting to long-term alignment. In other words, bleeding. I didn't share it. Didn't react. Just logged the date, saved a screenshot, and opened a file. Title, Collapse Indicators. I've been in that building too long not to know the signs. That night, I updated the CRM. 1 more legacy client. Gone from them. Now ours. 5 full conversions. 2 in progress. And 1 big one watching. I didn't have a billboard. Didn't have a marketing team. But I had a calendar. And every week they stalled. I took one more brick. They didn't feel the collapse yet, but the foundation was already mine. Week 12, the first defection happened. Not a client, an employee. I got a text at 6:42 a.m. Sent in my resignation. Starting Monday. Thanks for building something worth jumping for. Her name was Lila, former senior client manager at Helix. She handled 3 key accounts. Knew every vendor by name, knew where the bodies were buried. And she wasn't dramatic, she was surgical. I didn't ask her to come. She came because she saw the building tilting. I cleared a desk for her that day. By Friday, 2 clients had followed her out the door. At Helix, panic set in fast. They sent out a client continuity newsletter, full of fluff. Phrases like transitional cohesion and process realignment. Translation, please don't leave. Too late. Jordan called one of the clients directly. I know because they told me. He sounded nervous, the rep said. Like he just realized he was in the wrong meeting for the past 2 months. They asked if I'd match the current contract. I said no. I'll beat it. Amanda came in that afternoon with 2 spreadsheets. One from our end. One from Intel. Lila pulled from memory. Trent's bleeding, she said. We can make it worse. I looked at the board. We were at 7 converted accounts, 3 incoming. Each one pulled cleanly. No pressure. No pitch. Just gravity. We didn't need to make it worse. We just needed to hold the line. Monday morning, I drove by the Helix office. Not intentionally, it was just on the way to a vendor site. But I slowed. 3 spots in the executive row were empty. I recognized every car that wasn't there. I didn't smile. Didn't gloat. I just kept driving. Because the damage was already in motion. They weren't losing clients. They were losing story. The version of Helix people remembered was fading. And I wasn't trying to erase it. I was just replacing it. Week 13, I gave Amanda access to expansion funds. Build what we need, I told her. People. Space. Tools. She said, how big are we going? I said, not big. Then what? Built right. Tuesday, Helix filed a notice with their board. Projected Q2 shortfall. Lower client engagement. Brand erosion. They didn't use my name, but I saw it between the lines. Their quarterly call got postponed. Trent posted nothing for 4 days. He'd been online every day before that. Then silence. That was the loudest part. I didn't throw a party. Didn't call it a win. Didn't tell anyone what was coming next. Because there was still one name on my list. Their biggest account. Still holding. Still deciding. And I wasn't chasing. I was waiting. Week 14, I got a calendar invite. No subject line. No context. Just a name. Davenport/Wednesday 9 a.m. They were Helix's crown jewel. Legacy freight tech client. Multi-million in volume. I onboarded them personally in 2012. Flew out. Took the red eye. Stayed in a Holiday Inn just to be in their warehouse at 6 a.m. We'd never had a contract issue. Never missed a delivery. Then Helix handed them to Jordan. I hadn't heard from them since. Until now. Amanda looked at the invite. Then at me. You think this is exploratory? No, I said. This is pre-op. Wednesday, 9 a.m., I walked into the cafe. They were already there. Davenport's Director of Ops and Logistics VP. No lawyers. No fluff. Just 2 cups of coffee on the table and a folder. We didn't shake hands. He slid the folder to me. Inside, audit reports. Service delays. 3 pricing errors. 1 client complaint with screenshots. None of this ever happened under you, he said. I closed the folder. I'm not surprised, I said. He nodded. We're considering a transition. Quiet. Full. Need to know if you're positioned. I looked at him. You wouldn't be here if I wasn't. We didn't talk about price. Didn't talk about tech. Just integrity. Delivery. Control. By the end of the meeting, he said 1 line. We'll give them 30 days to fix it. If they don't, we move. That was it. He stood, shook my hand, and left. No promises. No drama. But the countdown had started. Back at the office, Amanda printed out the folder from Davenport. Do we prep? She asked. No, I said. We hold. She nodded. Should we notify the team? No one moves until they do. We were ready. That was the point. Friday, someone from Helix called my cell. Unknown number. I answered out of curiosity. It was Jordan. He sounded tired. Hey, Mark. Listen, I know there's some overlap lately. I wanted to see if maybe we could meet. Clear the air. I let that hang. He kept going. Look, I get it. You've got your own thing. I respect that. Maybe we can align. That word again. I said one thing. You're 30 days out. Silence. From what? You'll know. Then I hung up. That weekend, I didn't work. Didn't plan. Didn't talk strategy. Just spent the whole day rebuilding the bench in my garage. Hands on wood. Phone face down. Because when you build right, you don't chase. You let what's broken collapse under its own weight. Week 15. 2 weeks left on Davenport's correction period. Amanda asked if we should follow up. I said no. If they're still asking for reminders, they're not ready to leave. If they're quiet, they're already gone. We let it breathe. Helix didn't. They launched a campaign. Emails, press releases, rebranded landing pages. Next-gen fulfillment powered by dynamic operations. Translation. Noise. One of our newer clients forwarded me the newsletter with a note. Did you write this before they fired you? I replied. No. That's what they started writing after. Wednesday, Amanda got a voicemail from a Helix manager. The same one who took my office without saying a word the day I was let go. Now she sounded polite, asking if we had any current openings. Said she was looking to realign professionally. Amanda asked what I wanted to do. Nothing, I said. We don't poach. We absorb. If she wants in, she'll walk through the front door, not sneak through the side. Thursday, I got a text from a number I hadn't seen in over a year. The founder. Before Trent. The guy who brought me in, back when we shared folding desks and microwave burritos. Just heard what you're doing. Proud of you. Quietly rooting. I replied. Nothing quiet about what's coming. Week 16. Day 27 of 30. Davenport still hadn't said a word. No updates. No calls. No, just checking in. Which meant one thing. They were packing. That Monday, Trent went live on LinkedIn. A video update. Polished. Sweaty. Talked about transition challenges and external shifts in the market. Comment section was brutal. Vendors asking for payment timelines. Clients asking about staff turnover. One guy said, "You mean Mark left and the whole thing fell apart?" I saved the thread. Didn't like it. Didn't comment. Just saved it to a folder titled Unforced Errors. Tuesday morning, 8:12 a.m. Amanda walked into my office, holding her phone like it was glowing. They moved, she said. Davenport? She nodded. All files transferred. Contract submitted. Billing switched. Final line in their email. Please inform your team. You now have our full business. I didn't speak. Just stared out the window. Helix's building was in sight. The lights were on. They just didn't know what was off yet. I stood up, walked to the whiteboard, and crossed out the final name. Nothing dramatic. Just one black line. 7 clients. For employees. 0 announcements. We hadn't launched a brand. We'd launched a reckoning. And I still hadn't raised my voice. Week 17. The day after Davenport moved, Helix went quiet. No press. No damage control. Just nothing. Amanda refreshed their site. One client logo already missing. The header changed. Trusted by top innovators became driven by solutions. Generic. Safe. Empty. I didn't laugh. I just underlined a note on the whiteboard. Impact confirmed. That same afternoon, Lila walked into my office with a folder. Internal Helix documents. Service memos. Client churn notes. All pulled from someone still on the inside. I didn't ask how she got them. Inside were breakdowns. Names. Panic. The internal message that sealed it all. Leadership requests discretion. We are evaluating all executive roles and performance metrics. Translation. Trent's on thin ice. One page showed a comparison. Client departure timeline versus mark activity. They built a chart trying to map when each client moved and whether I'd spoken to them. As if I orchestrated it like a campaign. I hadn't. I'd just left the door open. That night, Jacob, my old friend and business attorney, called. Are you planning to acquire anything? I laughed. Like what? Trent's not holding. There's noise from their board. You might be in a position soon. I'm not going back. I'm not saying back, he replied. I'm saying through. Friday, 6:03 p.m., I got a call from a blocked number. Voicemail. Male voice. Quiet. Tired. Mark, it's Trent. I don't know if this matters anymore, but I'd like to meet. One-on-one. No press. Just 2 people who clearly care about the same space. I saved the message. Didn't delete it. Didn't respond. Amanda asked, Are you going? No. You sure? Yes. Because this wasn't about him anymore. It never really was. Week 18. I signed a 5-year lease on the 2nd floor of our building. Expansion wing. New hires already in pipeline. Word was out, not in ads and results. Vendors returned our calls. Clients sent referrals. We didn't campaign. We delivered. I saw Trent one more time. From across the street. He was walking fast, looking down, not dressed like a CEO. Just another guy with a folder under his arm and no place to be on time. I didn't wave. Didn't call out. Just stood still and let him pass. He didn't see me. He was too busy holding together what was left of his story. And I was too far gone to care. Week 19. We stopped tracking Helix. There was no need. Clients weren't asking about them anymore. They were asking about us. New vendors used our name as reference. Old partners reconnected. The reputation they spent years trying to polish, we reclaimed in months, silently, one result at a time. Amanda took down the whiteboard, replaced it with a glass planner. Weekly ops. Expansion projects. New systems. The last column just said, noise, ignored. I didn't touch it. I didn't even look at Helix's feed anymore. I wasn't building against them. I was building past them. Monday morning, Jacob came by. He dropped a manila envelope on my desk. Board filings. Shareholder updates. Internal memos. Trent's out, he said. Official as of last Friday. I nodded. That was all. He waited for a reaction. I didn't give one. That's it? He asked. Yeah, I said. That's it. We didn't toast. Didn't post some corny quote about karma. We just got back to work. That afternoon, Amanda onboarded 2 new hires. Bright. Quick. No attitude. They'd heard about the company where silence wins. That's what one of them called it in the interview. I like that. Later that week, I stopped by the old Helix building. Not out of curiosity. Out of convenience. Vendor down the block. The front lobby was half empty. Receptionist desk unmanned. I saw a guy I used to train standing by the elevator with a cardboard box. He looked up. Froze. Mark, he said. I just nodded. He looked at the box. Guess it's my turn. I didn't say sorry. Didn't say you should have left sooner. Didn't say anything. I just held the door for him as he walked out. Back at our office, Amanda handed me the final performance report. Q2 retention, 100%. Client response time, 8 minutes average. Fulfillment error rate, 0. She smiled. Not bad for something built out of spite. Not spite, I said. Standard. Because that's what this was always about. Not revenge. Just the return to what works. That evening, I sat at the new conference table. Laminated. Clean. 12 chairs now. It was quiet. Amanda dimmed the lights on her way out. You staying? Just for a minute. When she left, I pulled out the original envelope they gave me. The one with my severance. Still sealed. I placed it in the center of the table. Then slid it into the drawer. Didn't open it. Didn't need to. The balance had already been paid. Week 20. No noise. No messages. No fallout. Just routine. That's how you know you've won. Not when someone claps. Not when someone apologizes. But when your day feels like it always should have. Clear. I arrived at the office before sunrise. Amanda had already prepped the week. Her sticky notes were down to 1 word per item. I like that. 1 new client onboarding. 2 contracts ready to close. 1 team lunch planned by the interns, who asked if we could just not do speeches. I told them yes. They grinned. Simplicity was catching. At 9:40 a.m., I got a message from someone anonymous. The subject line, you won. No text inside. No name. Just that. I didn't respond. Didn't care who sent it. That's not how I kept score. By midweek, we were featured in a logistics journal. No quotes. Just numbers. Growth, retention, speed. At the bottom, a single line. Former Helix COO builds industry's quietest rising firm. I didn't share the article. I printed it. Framed it. Put it in the break room. No caption. No explanation. If they know, they know. If they don't, they'll ask the team. And that's even better. Friday, Amanda walked in around closing and placed a small box on my desk. Inside was a plaque. She didn't order it. One of the clients sent it as a thank you gift. Simple black plate. White letters. Because silence doesn't mean weak. I kept looking at that. How long people misunderstand quiet for surrender. How loud men fall fast. And how still ones stay standing. That night, I locked the office myself. Cody, my dog, waited in the truck, tail wagging at the window. We drove home slow. No radio. Just the sound of the road and no weight in my chest. At home, I fed him, made dinner, poured a drink, sat on the porch. Same chair, same table, same wind. The world moved fast around me. But I learned the only thing that wins in the long run isn't rage. It's rhythm. I didn't destroy anyone. I just didn't flinch. They bet on noise. I built structure. They fired me. I answered with infrastructure. And when it all came down, they asked if we could talk. I didn't say yes. Didn't say no. I just got back to work. Because that's what men like me do.